Back in the day, cheques were a common way of making a payment. Nowadays, it's all internet banking and ATM machines. But there is still one group of people who have a use for the humble cheque. Unfortunately, they're scammers and they're coming for you and your money. That's what happened to 26-year-old call centre worker Vineeta Naidu, whose secret passion is to become a star. That's why when a friend told her about an internet talent agency called StarNow, she jumped at the chance of joining up.
I've always loved the thought of acting, modelling, I love being in front of the camera.
So it seemed like a dream come true when a man named Greg Scheider contacted her via StarNow saying he worked for an international food and drink advertising company and he was looking for models.
I was stoked. I thought that this would mean that, I would somehow get a modelling contract out of this. People will finally see that maybe I can model.
Greg asked Vineeta to bypass StarNow and contact him directly, which she did. He then sent her a foreign cheque from Citibank in London worth 5,600 Kiwi dollars. This was to cover the cost of hiring an international photographer for the modelling shoot. Finally, her dream was becoming a reality.
When I opened up that letter, finding the cheque, my heart was beating fast. I was like, wow, this is so much money. This must be a really big advertising company or something, and they probably expect so much of me.
Vineeta took the cheque to her branch of ASB, where she says the person serving behind the counter said the cheque would take 21 days to clear, after which the money would be hers to use. They also gave her this, ASB's foreign exchange terms and conditions. But honestly, who reads those? So when the money showed up in her account 21 days later, Vineeta emailed Greg Scheider, the man she met through StarNow, with the exciting news that the cheque had cleared.
He emailed me back saying to send part of the money over to a man in Malaysia through Western Union, which I did.
But that still left $900 in her account, which Greg had told her was to go to another man in Malaysia. But then another email turned up from out of the blue telling her not to trust Greg and that she should send the money to a man in China instead. It was at this point in time she began to think that this might not be a modelling job after all, but a scam. She sent the money off to the man in Malaysia and decided to stop all further contact. A month later, Vineeta got a call from her branch of ASB Bank telling her the cheque she'd deposited 2 months earlier was a fake, and that she now owed them $6,175.90. Youch.
I felt used. I felt like angry, upset, confused, like how could this have happened to me?
Later on Target, find out what happens to Vineeta when she goes back to the bank. Will she be left with a $6,000 debt? Would-be model Vineeta Naidu was scammed after joining the talent website StarNow. A man posing as an international advertising executive sent Vineeta an international cheque worth $5,600.
My heart was beating fast. I was like, wow, this is so much money. This must be a really big advertising company, and they probably expect so much of me.
He asked her to bank the cheque and send it on to a man in Malaysia. 2 months later, her bank rang her, telling her the cheque was a fake and she'd been scammed. What's worse, the bank immediately debited Vineeta's account to the tune of $6,175.90. That's the amount the fake cheque was worth, plus all the costs the bank incurred dealing with it. The only option was to take out an expensive personal loan to cover the debt. ASB did waive the $200 processing fee on the loan, but not the almost 18% interest. The whole situation left Vineeta feeling very confused.
I was thinking, okay, am I getting scammed from the bank as well? It doesn't make sense why my bank would clear a cheque when it hasn't even been cleared from the bank account it came from.
So why would the banks lend so much money, then demand it back with interest? It seems to us the only winners here are the scammers and the bank, and Vineeta's left in the middle, thousands of dollars out of pocket.
Unfortunately, scammers are remarkably ingenious. One very common scam that we see is scammers taking advantage of the time that it takes to clear international cheques. What banks do is they place a hold on the funds for, say, 21 to 45 days. If after that period your cheque is actually dishonoured, you are likely to be held responsible.
What? So there is no time limit on how long it takes a cheque to clear. That 21 days they hold the funds for, that's just a precaution. After that, if things go wrong, it's your problem. Well, in Target's opinion, if banks really want to protect their customers, they shouldn't clear funds until they know the cheque is legitimate in its country of origin. It's not rocket science, so we asked ASB to explain.
We are very sorry to hear about Vineeta's situation. The bank is not in a position to verify fraudulent international drafts on presentation at a branch. We do make every effort to ensure that our customers are aware of the risk of an international bank draft being dishonoured after the initial 21-day hold period. All branch personnel are trained to advise customers of this risk, and Vineeta was given our foreign exchange terms and conditions.
Vineeta disputes this and says she wasn't fully informed at the counter of the risks.
The bank did not tell me that after the 21 working day time frame that the cheque could be dishonoured. I don't feel the bank has taken as much responsibility as it should have. I felt like they're covering themselves with these terms and conditions. Don't really care about the customer.
The whole experience has left Vineeta feeling vulnerable and sad.
I guess it did something to my integrity. I lost my confidence as a person.
And she says she feels ashamed to have exposed her family to it all.
And I just felt like I let them down.
Since all of this happened, Vineeta's cancelled her membership with StarNow, the organisation through which all of this started. So, Target asked StarNow what they thought of Vineeta's case. Here's what they said.
We have looked into Vineeta's actions. Because she chose to contact the advertiser directly via her own email system, rather than go through our messaging system, we could not monitor any messages. We do provide a safety warning on our site and encourage members to contact us if they're suspicious.
If you have any doubts about a cheque you've received, contact the bank that's issued the cheque and ask them to have the funds paid by telegraphic transfer. Then you can avoid problems with fraudulent cheques altogether. Since we started this investigation, ASB has refunded Vineeta the $91 they charged for processing the fake cheque. But to date, and to her credit, Vineeta has paid them back $5,000. She's not happy about having to do this, and she's asked for a formal investigation. We'll let you know how it goes.